My presentation will serve as an analysis of Elizabeth Bowen's short stories and their historical context. Elizabeth Bowen lived and wrote during World War II, which heavily influenced the works we read by her. These three stories each reflect an aspect of what war was like for the civilians involved, more specifically, young women. Elizabeth Bowen was born in Ireland and lived there until she was 7 years old when she moved to England with her parents. She then moved again to London in 1935 when she got married. The places and time that she lived during heavily influenced her writings. Within Happy Autumn Fields, we can see a country estate as well as a bombed London house. The historical aspect behind this story shows the aftermaths of bombs dropped in London. Within her table spread, we see an Irish castle upon Carberry Hill. The historical aspect behind this story shows the presence of British influences on politics and social norms within Ireland. Demon Lover is set within a deserted house as well as the empty streets of London. The historical aspect of this shows the comparisons between bombed, ruined areas of the city to the lively, ordinary ones with people living in them. Unlike other writers, Bowen explored a side of war focused on the civilian life being affected by times of war. Jesslyn Medoff notes Bowen's explorations of first-hand emotions of war rather than the first-hand experiences, heavily dealing with the aftermath and emptiness of destruction. Her stories often explored the human psyche being affected by war times. She also wrote about the pause to ordinary life and the desire to escape from war, as well as all other aspects of normal life. Her stories often reflect more than one of these themes at the same time or over the course of the plot. Within Happy Autumn Fields, we see the exploration of the human psyche as one of the main characters, Mary, when surrounded by war, escapes either to her character's life, a dream world, or flashbacks from her previous life where she connects spiritually to a woman named Sarah, who is living during a time without war. There are debates as to whether Mary and Sarah are the same person, Sarah is a character made up by Mary, or Mary is simply entering and having dreams about this woman named Sarah. Within her table spread, Valerie Cuff, an Irish woman who dreams of escape from her normal life in hopes of a happy and free married one, wants to marry one of the British soldiers who anchors their destroyer ship within the water her castle sits over. Within Demon Lover, Kathleen spends time in her bombed and boarded up house, collecting items and leaving this old house and ordinary life behind. She then travels the streets, which are full of life and normalcy, something which feels foreign within this story. As you can tell, Bowen writes her characters usually as young women who seem a little off. Barbara Seuss describes Bowen's characters as out of place, obsessive, and looking for escape. The characters feel out of place not only in regards to their location, but also the time period or phase of life which they find themselves in. They become obsessed with their end goal to the point of self-delusion, spiritual disembodiment, and death. Escapism swallows them as they push as hard as they can for something to be left behind or gained within their lives. Within the 3 stories we read by Bowen, there are plenty of examples to support Seuss's claims. We can see escapism within Happy Autumn Fields as Mary finds herself coming undone and from her own body and human consciousness in favor of the one Sarah is offering her. We also see she becomes obsessed by feeding into Sarah's life to the point she feels as if Mary's body is an inconvenience and she was never a real person. Within her table spread, we can see escapism not only through Valerie's want for an English sailor, but also to escape from her family's watchful eyes, society's judgment of the unmarried, and at some level, the arrangement she has with Albane. We can see she becomes obsessed as she runs through the rain, risking illness to catch the attention of a warship that could potentially destroy the side of the estuary which her castle sits upon. Within Demon Lover, Kathleen is not only finding herself running from the war, trying to escape, but also trying to escape the prior arrangement of her life to a demon. We can see the out-of-placeness as she mentions feeling cast away from humanity and runs so hard away from her problems, she ends up backing right into them. As we can tell, there is some overlay between the 3 themes that Seuss points out, and there are other examples that we can portray within each of these stories as well. While not everyone likes Bowen's writing, one critic, Damian Tarnolopsky, makes 3 claims against Bowen's writing, saying she writes about nothing, her characters are unaware of themselves and others, and her plots end with little to no explanation. There are plenty of examples to back up all of his claims. Within Demon Lover, we can see that there are missing plot points as the identity of the man was never confirmed. We never really know who wrote the letter, and the taxi driver's identity was never confirmed. Within her table spread, we can see that Valerie's actions are never fully explained. The characters are seeming to just be learning about one another, and the motives for the destroyer are never explained as well. Within all 3 of these stories, we can see an abrupt ending with many questions unanswered. There are large plot lines and driving points which are simply dropped without explanation so that the story can be wrapped up, and it sometimes feels as if pages are missing from the ends of the stories.